First time I met Mr. Hansen was at Manhattan when my dad at the time was Republican chairman for Kansas, and I was going to school at university down there, and they had a powwow the Republicans did in Manhattan at the Wareham Hotel, and they probably 12 or 14 Republicans over the state of Kansas, and the next day, or they decided that night to make Eisenhower a favorite son nomination. So they all went to Abilene the next day, and at that time, why, they told him that they were going to sponsor him, and so I guess he's kind of shocked I didn't go over to Abilene. But that's the first time I met Mr. Hansen, and the room was full of cigar smoke. I think 8 or 9 of them smoked cigars, and you couldn't see across the room. That was the first thing I was exposed to, the political smoke-filled rooms. Mr. Hansen, he pretty ruled the roost from northwest Kansas. And there's a fellow down at Sublette that also ruled the roost. And then down at Downs, there's another fellow. So, you know, they kind of scattered out around over the state, but still they controlled the politics in their area.
Yes, he had the old Cuban cigars, big old cigars, and they, I know my mom could tell me all the time when I put my clothes in the closet, he said, "Boy, you smell like cigar smoke." But didn't seem to bother anybody because he always smoked them and nobody cared. He talked on politics on the phone quite a little bit with different guys, so it's hard to tell who he might have known.
I can tell you a story about going in to see him. I went in to see him, and he had a cigar about that long and about that big around, and he was chomping on that. "Sit down." And I sat down, and about that time, the phone rang, and the Republican Party was calling him, wanting to get some more money. And he talked to him for a little while, and I was sitting right across the desk, and I can remember, he said, "Well, I'm going to tell you something, boys. I'll send you another 10,000, but this is not a gift like that first one was, and I'm going to expect you to pay it back." And he kept rolling, and they kept talking. Pretty soon they got done. And he looked over at me, and he says, "You know, we're going to be having a fundraiser over here," and I didn't think anything about it. I was a Republican county chairman, just a kid from here, and this was all Democrat here in Hayes. And anyhow, he went on, and I don't remember, but I think it was like $300 a head or $200, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but I can remember, "Would you like to go?" And I thought, I got 3 kids. I didn't get a chance to say, I couldn't afford to, or the like. No, he could see I'd turned white. And he said, no, I was talking about you going as my guest." I started breathing again.
I remember his cigar box. And my father was a cigar smoker, but he said, "Now, if he offers a cigar, don't take it." And I said, "Okay." So, but he did, and I never took it. But he would smoke a cigar once in a while, and they were big, long things like this, and he'd get one out and look down his glasses and get in his drawer and get his scissors out, clip the end of it off, and put it in his mouth and roll it like this, and then light it, and then look at me over his glasses, and we would go on. But I remember that about him. And although he gave me all the time that I deserved and needed, he did not waste his time. Never.
he was known as Mr. Republican in the state of Kansas. I mean, in a lot of ways. And he knew, like, about all the politicians knew him. Any Republican, they pretty well wanted his stamp of approval before. He pretty well run things.